Blanco Brothers has been in business in Louisiana for about 30 years now. I have personal experience with this company, and I know others who have as well. If you have a business or a home and you've got roofing, gutter, sheet metal issues at all, one number you need to know, and that's Blanco Brothers Construction. He will treat you right financially, and he will take very good care of you with regard to the quality of the service that he provides. I cannot recommend Blanco Brothers Construction more highly enough. Memorize the number 225-226-4222. Blanco Brothers Construction, the very best in the business.
Good morning. We hear a lot about spiritual warfare in ministry settings and in the Patriot community, but not many people talk about or teach about what that means in a real practical sense. How do you recognize it, and how do you engage it in your own life and in the world around you? Today, I'm talking to a very favorite guest, a fantastic teacher and a prolific author who makes spiritual concepts simple and approachable. I'm so happy to be welcoming back Praying Medic. He's got 2 new books on the subject, and so we will get into those and, of course, talk about what's going on in the world. So much is happening. It's hard to even know where to start, but welcome to For the Love of Freedom. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, 2026. It's 10 a.m. Central, and I'm coming to you live on Voice of the People USA TV and radio network, on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook. Give us a like, give us some stars wherever you're watching or listening. Get in the comments, and you can always catch us later on our audio-only platforms, usually the same day. And just a side note, we're also on Substack now, so there's fresh content over there. Please take a look and subscribe. Our handle over there is the same as everywhere else. It's Freedom State US, and you can also support us by joining the Warrior Circle there or at our website, freedomstate.us. Well, I am your host, Danielle Walker, and on this show, we meet people who have rejected the status quo, who've broken with convention, who've broken with the belief that the TV or the textbooks tell them the truth, and each of my guests in their own way are working to bring freedom to the world. Let me bring in my friend Dave. Good morning, Dave. How you doing?
Doing good, Danielle. Hey, everybody. I'm posting over on X, so
Awesome.
sit tight a second. Now that it's live, I gotta retweet the live stream here. So doing good.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, you are busy. You were just saying. Why don't I go ahead and do the scripture for today? Because I love to frame out the show. And today's scripture is 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 8. And it's the Apostle Paul speaking. And he says, am I merely giving, I guess he's talking to the early church, and he says, am I merely giving you my own opinions, or does the Torah teach the same things? And I just kind of stopped when I was reading this morning on that verse, because I was struck by the fact, the Apostle Paul was not teaching the early church from his own opinions. And he was pretty close to ground zero, so he could have. But he taught from the foundation of the Hebrew Scriptures. So how much more should all of our teaching and ministry work come from the foundation of the Word of God? And I think, Dave, that may be the place where some people get hung up when it comes to spiritual warfare. They listen to a lot of opinions, and they may be moving in what they think is right, but they may not be looking to the Scriptures for the model of how to approach their personal or territorial situation warfare. I was reminded this morning of a book John Paul Jackson wrote on spiritual warfare a number of years ago called The Needless Casualties of War. And that comes to mind so often when I think about spiritual warfare, because I don't think that many of us are equipped, but the battle is waging around us. So I wanted to start out with that this morning and see, how that resonates with you. I'm sure that had to play a part in why you wrote these books. But just wanted to see, what your kind of reaction to that is.
Yeah. So I think you're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong. Are you talking about jurisdiction in warfare?
I guess jurisdiction is part of it, but even like, what does it mean? Because you like, if, for instance, if you're on Telegram and you're looking at all these people who are posting, they're like, put on the full armor of God, patriots.
Yep.
Nobody is talking about what does that actually mean in practice. People are not talking about, I think there's a lot of conversation about the fact that there is a spiritual war, but there's not a whole lot of conversation about what to do because we're in it.
Right. Okay. Let's start with the foundation. So Jesus and Paul both described a kingdom of darkness and said that basically they, the disciples, Jesus, God the Father, are at war against a kingdom of dark, evil, rebellious spirits, everything from fallen angels to demons and everything in between. That there is a kingdom of darkness that opposes God's kingdom. It opposes righteousness. It opposes justice. It opposes love, prosperity, right? It opposes everything good. So the foundation is we, as followers of Jesus, have been recruited to wage warfare against this kingdom on God's behalf. So it's and some people go like, well, why doesn't God just speak a word and wipe all these guys out? Well, there's reasons. It's a long theological discussion. Not going to go into it here. Suffice it to say, God chose, rather than having a perfect utopia where there is no darkness, there are no demons, there is no evil, there is no sin. God chose to create a world where people have free choice. And free choice, free agency, gives us the ability to choose evil.
Yeah.
Because people choose evil, there is going to be this war against good and evil. And it's funny because it is depicted all throughout Hollywood films, in literature. Good example, J.R. Tolkien's trilogy, Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is a metaphor that depicts the war of good against evil. It's essentially J.R. Tolkien was like, look, we need to describe to people in a fairy tale this spiritual war that's going on. So we're going to create this kingdom of darkness with Sauron and all these other evil beings and orcs, and we're going to have some good people, some hobbits and some humans and elves. And the reality of spiritual warfare is all around us if you look for it.
Yeah.
And so foundationally, you have to understand that we are in a battle, and you don't have a choice. You do not have a choice about whether you're going to be engaged in this warfare against these spiritual forces of darkness. You can choose to sit on your hands and do nothing. You can choose not to pick up the weapons of warfare, and you can just let the forces of darkness take their shots at you, and you're going to become a victim. You'll end up depressed. You'll end up broke. You'll end up alienated from people, alone, with no purpose, and scratching at scabs in the middle of the night, addicted to drugs and without purpose in your life, because the enemy, the kingdom of darkness, will come at you and destroy you if you do not defend yourself.
Yeah.
We are in the battle, whether you like it or not, whether you defend yourself or not, whether you take up the weapons of armed warfare or not, you're in the battle. There are going to be attacks on your finances, on your relationships, on your sense of peace. You're good. I get emails all the time from people who suffer from insomnia and anxiety, chronic fear and panic attacks, inflammatory diseases, and uh, autoimmune issues. Most of that is an attack from the kingdom of darkness. And so my commission, my assignment from God is to teach people how to use the tools and the weapons God has given us to fight against all these attacks that are coming at us. So you mentioned John Paul Jackson in his book, Needless Casualties of War. The thrust of that book is that we are authorized to fight certain battles, but not all battles. And John Paul was making a distinction because he had seen people who realized, hey, we're spiritual warriors. We can go out and fight the kingdom of darkness. We can take the battle to them.
Yeah, let's clear it all out while we're at it.
And they were indiscriminately fighting battles they were not authorized to fight. They had overstepped their authority. So let's talk about authority, because this is the key issue when it comes to spiritual warfare. You have to understand how authority works. Now, in the Gospel of Luke, the Gospel of Matthew, two parallel accounts, it says Jesus called his disciples to himself, and he gave them power and authority over sickness, to heal sickness, and over demons. So Jesus gives us power. The power that he gives us is the Holy Spirit. If you are filled with the Holy Spirit, you have the power of God living in you. You can release that power to work creative miracles. Right? That's power. Now, authority is different. Authority is like the authority of a king or the president. President can sign an executive order. He can make things happen. A king can issue a decree. And when a king issues a decree, his subjects carry out his orders. He has authority. All right. So the authority that God gives us is authority over the kingdom of darkness. Right. I give you authority over all the power of the enemy. There's a mistranslation in that verse. If you look into Matthew chapter 10, there's a mistranslation. A lot of people read this as Jesus said, I give you power over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means harm you. That word is actually mistranslated. Jesus said, I give you authority over all the power of the enemy, because our authority trumps the enemy's power. Now, authority is limited. We don't have carte blanche authority to wage every battle that comes along. We need to operate within our sphere of authority. Now, in the kingdom parables, Jesus told a number of parables where the idea was, if you are faithful in small things, God will give you greater authority. Parable of the talents, the parable of the wicked servant. I mean, there's a lot of parables that he hit on this issue. God gives you responsibility. And if you're faithful in the responsibilities he gives you, he'll give you greater responsibility. He will reward you for your faithfulness. Right? So when you start out with God exercising authority, you generally start out small. You have a small sphere of authority. Your family, maybe your neighborhood. You have authority to kick out demons when you find people who are sick. Right? That we're describing your sphere of authority. As you operate in that level of authority that God has given you, and you are faithful, and as you grow in spiritual wisdom, God will increase your sphere of authority. About 12 years ago, I had this experience in the middle of the night. I just heard this voice in the middle of the night say, I'm increasing your sphere of authority. I just heard this loud voice talking to me in the middle of the night. I was like, all right, Good to know. I'll make a little note of that. So God will increase our sphere of authority. If you operate successfully within your neighborhood, for example, and that there are things that we can do in our neighborhood that can affect the spiritual atmosphere. We have authority within our local area to do warfare against spirits of pornography, spirits of lust, spirits of addiction,
Yeah.
spirits of division. There's all these spirits that are causing things around us, and we have authority to command those spirits to leave, get out. You're banished. You're not allowed in my neighborhood. Go somewhere else. Right. So we should exercise authority locally at the precinct.
Would you just talk about, like, just give people like a play-by-play of what that would look like if you're walking around in your neighborhood?
All right. In the book, Spiritual Warfare Made Simple, the latest book that we just put out. I don't have a copy of it. It's in the other room.
I do have a copy of it here.
No, that's all right. In that book, I tell a story. It's a retelling. It's a synopsis kind of a story that a friend of mine told. He goes by Al Mack online. That's Freedom from Evil Spirits Made Simple.
I do have the other one.
Yeah. Al tells a story called, and he wrote this as an article. It's called Gatekeeping in My Neighborhood. And he gave me permission to paraphrase it in the book Spiritual Warfare Made Simple. In this little episode, Al had a lot of problems in his neighborhood. There were drug dealers in his neighborhood. There was prostitution going on. There was a pornography shop right down the street from his place. And there was a woman, someone who had a wolf on their property. They had a permit to have a wolf as a pet. And this wolf was causing all kinds of problems. Nearly took a chunk out of his daughter.
Oh my gosh.
Walked by. So he had all these problems, and he went to God, and he was complaining about all this. And he says, I was basically whining to God about this. And God said, what are you going to do about it?
Dang.
Right. So he's like, what do you mean? What am I going to do about it? I'm coming to you. You're supposed to fix this. Look,
sorry, I'm just struggling over here with the format of the thing. Yeah, so
are you on screen by yourself?
No, I think I see both. I see both of us in the corner. Like I put up the book, and then now I can't get us back.
So,
there we go.
There we go. You're in the Twilight Zone. So our friend Al is whining to God. He says, hey, you should get rid of this stuff. And God says, well, what are you going to do about it? And they had a conversation, and God told him, look, you have authority over your neighborhood. You're the highest ranking authority in your neighborhood. You just command these things to leave. Command them to get out. Take a stand against them and command them. Look, they're not allowed. They're not. So what he did was he spoke into existence spiritual gates in his neighborhood. And he told the gates, you're not allowed. You are not going to permit evil spirits to come into our neighborhood. That's what he instructed the gates to filter out evil spirits. And
that's cool.
And he just did a little bit of warfare. And the funny thing is, he actually has a friend who is spiritual. She's very spiritually sensitive, and she sees in the spirit really well. And he took her for a walk one day, a month or so after this happened. And he said, I want to take you on a walk around the neighborhood, and I want you to tell me if you see anything interesting. So they're walking around the neighborhood. And she gets to this one place and she says, I'm looking in the spirit. Is there a gate here? Like, there's like a gate here, like some kind of a big freaking doorway. It's got like lights and stuff on it. And he's like, yeah, that's my spiritual gate that I established like a month ago. I was
How
one of
cool
the,
is that?
she saw it and she did not know about it. She saw the gate that he established in his neighborhood.
That's incredible.
Right. So what happened was the drug dealers moved out. The person with the wolf got rid of the wolf. The pornography shop down the street went out of business. Within a short period of time, after he established those gates in his neighborhood, the atmosphere changed.
Wow.
Okay. That's an example of how we can exercise authority and conduct spiritual warfare in our neighborhood. If your neighborhood is full of drug dealers and there's prostitution going on, there's crime going on, there's robberies and stuff, you have authority to take a stand against that in your neighborhood, and you can establish gates. Go in the Old Testament, look through the Psalms, and look at how many times the Bible talks about people who sit at the gates, who allow in ancient culture of the Old Testament, the people who sat at the gates of the city were literally, that's where the term gatekeepers came from. They determined who would be allowed into the city and who would not, because back then they had walled cities. If you live in a culture of barbarism, where there's just tribal warfare and killing and towns getting ransacked and pillaged, a walled city with a wall around it, provides protection. And they would have gates at the wall, and they would not open the gates to let anyone in who was not who did not have a legitimate purpose for being there. Well, that's the idea here. The idea is you're literally establishing a spiritual gate for your community, and you're telling that gate, do not let any evil spirits come in here. They're forbidden. Just keep them out. So that is an example of territorial warfare on a small scale, but territorial warfare on the state level, on the national level, it works in a similar way.
Yeah.
If you are faithful in small things, God will give you greater authority, a bigger sphere of authority. Maybe one day you'll be doing warfare over your state. And there are a lot of different realms where principalities and powers and spirits of darkness operate. They operate in government. They operate in healthcare. They operate in the education system. They operate in the economy. They operate in art and entertainment and news. There's all these spiritual forces that are influencing our education system, and it's driving it toward Marxism. There has been warfare going on in the entertainment industry, in Hollywood, all this woke nonsense and the LGBTQ stuff and all these agendas that are being pushed. There is a spiritual component behind all of that. And
Dave, can you talk for a second about, okay, so there's authority, we have authority, we can assert our authority. Who has the enforcement power?
angels,
Angels. So if you're coming up against some resistance, right? And you're saying, I'm asserting my authority, but it's not, I'm hitting a brick wall spiritually.
So when Daniel hit a brick wall and he was praying for 21 days against the king of Persia, and the king of Persia was not a king, it was a demonic entity.
Yeah.
An angel came to him, right? And said, hey, God has heard your prayers from the first day you started praying, and I'm here to give you a message. And here's what's going on. You're being opposed, right?
Yeah.
We are allowed to work with angels. Angels are, the writer of the book of Hebrews says, they are servants of us. All right. Angels are servants of God. Yes, but they're created by God. They're sent by God into the earth realm to assist us in exercising authority and carrying out our assignments. So we can recruit angels to work with us, and angels love working against the kingdom of darkness. It's like their favorite thing to do. They like it even better than coffee. And I'm gonna be writing a book called Ministry with Angels Made Simple. That's the next book that's coming out.
Cool.
In the series. In that book, I'm going to go through the scriptures, through history, and explain and illustrate how angels work with us to accomplish God's purposes. But we have authority, and we can exercise authority. And sometimes we need to cooperate with angels, and I've had angels show up. I've had angels show up at healing sessions where I sense that the angelic presence is there. I know it's an angel of deliverance. And I'm like, okay, well, we have angel of deliverance here. Why don't you help me get rid of this demon? And the angels will put the demon's head in a little vice and torture the demon, and it leaves. We're not alone. We're not alone in this warfare. We have angels working with us. So they have roles in warfare, and so do we. So going back to the issue of authority, you have a realm, a sphere of authority. We all do. Every believer has a sphere of authority, and it is important to know what you're not authorized to do. So when you look at the things that I talk about on social media and the things that I write about as far as books go, I'm very careful what I talk about. I talk about hearing God's voice, learning to see visions, dream interpretation, physical healing, emotional healing, ministry with angels, spiritual warfare. These are the primary topics God has authorized me to talk about. I am not authorized to talk about a lot of other issues. God has not given me authorization. If you don't see me talking about a particular issue that's like really popular and everyone's discussing it and teaching on it and all that things, and I'm not teaching about it, I'm not discussing it, it's because God has not authorized me to talk about it. And I'm very, very careful not to overstep my authority. Because when you overstep your authority, that's where you get in trouble.
Yep.
And that's where confusion happens. And people are teaching things that they're not authorized. God hasn't given them revelation. They don't know what they're talking about. They just talk anyway. And they're overstepping their authority. And God has given me very clear instruction. Know what the red lines are. You're authorized to these things, and you're not authorized for those things. Just stay within your lane. And that's the thing. I try to stay in my lane. And people who stay in their lane, who have subject matter expertise, who have authority from God, who have revelation from God on certain issues, they are a blessing to anyone who hears them. When you see people getting out of their lane, talking about things that they have no expertise, they have no personal experience, it's just a trendy, cool topic that everybody's talking about. That's where confusion.
That's the whole influencer class.
It's
the entire influencer class, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The Podcastistan is full of people who are they're not authorized by God to talk on this subject. And so it's division and confusion and chaos because people are talking about things they're not authorized to talk about.
So you mentioned revelation, that God will give you revelation. This is a question that I've had, or an inkling that I've had for a while, and it came to mind as I was preparing for this. Okay, do you think that Greek and Roman gods are actually demonic principalities rather than fiction? Because to me, it seems kind of crazy that they would have all of these unified stories across these cultures.
Yeah, they tapped into the fallen powers of darkness, and they just oh, hey, you have these supernatural powers. Wow, that's pretty crazy. You must be a god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what they tapped into. For
Have
sure.
you I'm going to formulate this as I'm kind of thinking about it, but have you thought about like the fact that it seems there are physicists that are very closely related to this idea of UFOs and aliens, which I know, I mean, I believe that probably if there are UFOs and aliens, they're probably spiritual beings. They're not, I don't really know that I think that they would be extraterrestrial in some other way. Do you think that there are people like these physicists are actually trying with CERN to open some kind of demonic portal?
I have no idea what CERN is about. I've heard of
Okay.
it. I haven't looked into it. Um, yeah, I don't know what CERN is about.
Okay.
I will give you my unpopular opinion, and I don't talk about this a lot on social media because I have a very small minority opinion, and everybody I know opposes my opinion. But I think aliens are real, aliens from other solar systems and galaxies.
Okay.
I don't think they're demons.
All right.
Just my opinion.
I'm starting to read this book called Stranger at the Pentagon. And that guy, the guy that came in to the Pentagon was an extraterrestrial being from, I think Saturn. I don't know. I've only read a couple pages of it.
Okay.
So,
Well, if you're interested in the subject, you might check out my book Opturius.
okay, I will.
It's a novel, so it's science fiction, but it presents the issue of extraterrestrials in a way very different from how most people think of it. Um, it's challenging to the existing paradigm in the church as
Okay.
far on aliens. So you can check it out if you want.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
What, sorry, I didn't know if I was cutting you off.
Nope.
Okay. Do you feel like the spiritual war has been kicking up in intensity the last couple of weeks?
Not really.
About the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know people who say that they felt an increase in spiritual warfare, but I've been hearing people say that for 20 years. So I don't know that there actually is any increase in spiritual warfare.
Yeah, maybe just the visibility of it.
Yeah, there are. It always seems like there are certain issues that are being pushed by the kingdom of darkness, and those issues change from time to time. And if you're particularly sensitive to one set of issues, and the kingdom of darkness is pushing that issue to you, it feels like, oh wow, man, spiritual warfare is ramped up a lot. Well, it's ramped up in the one of 12 different areas of spiritual warfare that are going on. You just are sensitive to that one, whether it's political, warfare, or warfare in the education system, or warfare over the medical system, or at arts and entertainment, or whatever the issue is, whatever you're sensitive to. When some issue becomes a lightning rod of controversy, people are like, oh, wow, man, spiritual warfare is really high now. Okay, well, for that issue, it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know, generally speaking, if there's been an increase in spiritual warfare.
Okay. The Rededicate 250 event this past, was it 2 weeks ago now? Do you have any reflections on that, or any thoughts about or insight on what it means for where we are in the timeline?
Nope, I don't. God has given
Okay.
me no revelation on that. I think it's cool that Trump is really pushing hard on this issue of our 250th anniversary and getting back to the foundations that our country was founded upon: truth, justice, righteousness, liberty, the pursuit of happiness,
Yeah.
limited government. think it's great. Denise and I literally pray into that every single day.
Wow.
We are praying every day that God will restore this country to the foundations of truth, justice, righteousness, freedom, peace, prosperity. Those are the things we're asking God to restore every day. And
I love that.
I think everyone should be praying into that every day.
Yeah.
That's where we have to reestablish the foundational principles that this country was built on.
Yeah. Amen. Well, what has the Lord been speaking to you about lately, or giving you insight into that you want to share with the class?
All right. I have been having for 5 years dream after dream after dream after dream after dream after dream after dream about radios. Lately, it's been mesh radios, low power radios that allow you to transmit encrypted text messages over a low power radio. And we've been building out this mesh network here in Phoenix. And I started on this, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, putting radio repeaters on mountaintops around the Phoenix area. And I've joined a group of people, and there's over 1,000 users now in our Discord, our Arizona Meshtastic Discord. It's Meshtastic Radio. I wrote a book called Meshtastic Made Simple. It's actually selling really well. So Meshtastic is, again, like I said, it's a way to use a very small, low power radio that pairs to your phone by Bluetooth and allows you to send text messages on your phone to people around your area through this mesh network. And it's encrypted and it's completely off grid. The radios the mountaintop radios run on solar power. No internet connectivity, no grid power. If the grid goes down, if the internet goes down, we have encrypted text messaging that is completely independent of all that crap.
Are you using it right now,
Yes.
just to be in touch with those people?
Yes.
That's cool.
I'm using it. I check the messages on our message channels every day. We're building out this grid massively. We were finally, last week, I went down to Casa Grande, Arizona, deployed a couple of radios on some mountains down in Casa Grande, and I was able to connect Tucson and Phoenix together. And now Tucson and Phoenix are meshing. And I just got connected to a couple of guys up in Sedona, Prescott, and Flagstaff, and they are looking to connect the rest of the state with Phoenix and Tucson. We're trying to build out an entire statewide network. And I'm selling a radio to a guy in Yuma, way over in the southwest corner near the border of California. He wants to build a series of radios that will link Yuma to Phoenix. We're trying to connect the entire state. And God is just giving me dream after dream after dream about deploying these radios and connecting the state and getting it all set up. And it started out with, years ago, 2021, 2022, it started out with a bunch of dreams about the collapse of the power grid, the collapse of the internet, the collapse of cell phone service. It was all going to be gone. And I had many dreams in 2021 and 22 about the loss of grid power and radios, cell phones and internet. So that's when God started talking to me about getting into ham radio. So I have amateur radio. I've got an amateur radio set up here with various radios and stuff. And I did that for a year or two. But then 2023, God started talking to me about mesh networking. And there's several different ways that mesh networking can be worked out, but God has been focusing for me on Meshtastic. So that's when I started learning about Meshtastic, building the radios, various iterations. I got a 3D printer. I 3D print cases for the radios and put them together. And God just will not let this thing go. It's driving Denise crazy. because she's like, oh man, like really, she's not there yet. She's not sold that this is going to ever be needed. But, and that's okay. She doesn't have the revelation for it. God has not spoken to her about this issue once.
Yeah.
He speaks to me about it every single night. So yeah, I'm building out this this radio system with a bunch of different guys and gals. We've come a long way in getting the state connected.
And that's what obedience looks like, right? It's not,
That's what obedience is.
You can't just get the revelation and tell people about it, right?
People are like, oh man, you're doing so much. You must really love radios. You must be a tech geek. I'm like, no, I don't love it. I'm not a tech geek. It's not my, like, if I had my way, I would have nothing to do with this stuff. I don't find it interesting. But despite that, God does not stop talking about this. He's like, look, keep going, build it out, put up more nodes, connect the state. Like, there's going to be a reason this is needed in the future. And I'm like, yes, sir, I'll keep going. Like, man, I don't really want to go out and climb a 2,500 foot mountain and put a radio up there, when it's like 90 degrees outside.
Yeah.
But God is not letting go of this thing.
All
So
right, well,
that's how I work out my obedience. My obedience is like, Lord, I don't see the end thing. Like, I don't, all the pieces, all the steps. I'm just going to do what he's asking me to do. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because he just keeps on talking to me about this issue. And I just know that God wants me to do this for his reasons, for his purposes. I don't know what's coming exactly, but that is like the majority of stuff that's going on. Like, occasionally I get dreams about Iran. I had a couple recently. I've been getting a few dreams about other subjects, but mostly it's been about mesh radio.
Okay.
And that's for me.
Yeah.
It may be for other people. Other people have been having dreams about communication issues. I'm not the only one. But that's God just has me on blast every night. He's just giving me dreams about this stuff. Actually, I had a crazy dream a couple nights ago where I'm writing this book, a series of books, a series of 6 books, actually. It's 6 novels that cover a span of time of about 1,000 years of this fictional culture. And each book has a different main character who tells the story. So each story in each book is conveyed from the point of view of one person. And this one person is a record keeper. They're keeping track of essentially what in today's parlance would be the news, current events and news.
Okay.
All right. So the theme of this entire storyline is that certain people have reasons for certain events not to be recorded in the official record.
Imagine that.
Yeah. The news that is disseminated to the masses is sometimes not quite the whole story. Right. That's the thesis of this entire series of books. Now, there's a couple of recurring themes in these books. And the other night I had a dream where I was writing a story and I was using the terminology from this fiction series. But the story I was writing was about how we built out the mesh network in Arizona. I wrote this really detailed story about how we built out the network, how it started, how it progressed, who got involved, how we pulled this off and that. And I was writing this epic story about how we built out the mesh network, but I was using all the terminology from this fiction series that I'm working on. I'm like, wait a minute, Laura, you're like merging these two things.
Do you think you're going to have to catalog the story so you can be the historian of the mesh network that saved Arizona?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Seems
I'm
like
a scribe. Yeah, I'm a scribe of sorts. I love to write.
Yeah.
I love to I love to not just write fiction. I'm loving fiction writing a lot more these days. The more I write fiction, the more I really enjoy it. But I also um, I like documenting current events. Like when I was doing Q posts, Q threads, I do these long threads with 100 tweets. And I was just researching. I was like, Q dropped a link to this article, this video, this web page. I'd go, I'd read, do my research, connect a bunch of dots, and then come back on X, Twitter at the time, and explain what I saw, what I found, why is it relevant, in a few tweets.
How long was it before you started having fun with that? Because I know you went into that very hesitantly.
Yeah, I was very hesitant. It was probably 2 months.
Okay.
I started in January of 2018. I was following Q from the very beginning. The first weekend, I was listening to someone who was doing Q decodes. Literally the first weekend that Q was posting. But I had to pray about it for a couple of months. So November and December of 2017. And the Lord was giving me dreams about Q and about Q-related issues and Trump. And I had this one dream. It was crazy. I saw Trump. He took me on this tour of the history of the United States. I had a personal guided tour from President Trump. It was the dream had a surreal quality to it. And he was showing me all of these historical events through the history of the United States. And I was going with him. And he was explaining to me the truth of what actually happened in each of these events.
Wow.
And that was when Q was dropping. So in January of 2018, I was like, okay, I'm just going to start doing these Q decodes because Denise and I were looking at the other decodes people were doing, and they were mostly crap. Denise is like, look, you have a handle on this. Why don't you just start doing some Twitter threads and explain what's going on and do some video, just do a video overview of the thread. And that's what I started doing. And then I would say March or so of 2018, I finally got in a rhythm where I felt good. People were responding. People enjoyed what I was doing. They benefited from it. And I got a lot of positive feedback. That's when it became fun. When people gave me positive feedback, I was like, okay, this is a valuable service. I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm going to lean into it and, do the best I can. By the way, have you noticed all of the Q memes?
That is what I have queued up. That's exactly what I have queued up next. Yeah. So before we get there, though, I have to make a connection. So that dream where President Trump was explaining to you the real history, is that informing this book series that you're working on where they're leaving out parts of history?
Oh, gosh. You know what? I didn't even think about that. Well, yeah. So this series is a metaphor. It is a metaphor that describes in fictional terms how certain events, critical events in the history of a civilization are buried and eliminated from the record because certain powerful people don't want anyone to know about them. So yes, that dream with Trump showing me the history of the United States and what really happened in all these events, it's related. I think it is.
Cool. We'll see how you weave that in. I think it's going to get woven in somehow.
So all the, let's see, what was it now? It's the Undersecretary.
Wish me luck. Yeah. Wish me luck as we're going to try and put up a couple of these that we don't get locked into a weird layout again. But the first one I had queued up was this one. Let's see. Is it? Oh dear.
All right, Lord. She's not going to go in the doom loop. We're going to stay out of the doom loop.
Out of the doom loop.
Technology is going to work fine.
Do it. Just do the work, man. Had it. I mean, we have it. It's here. It's all right. All right. Here we go.
Stay with me, deplorables. You're going to love how this movie ends. That's one of them. And he posted that on Truth Social.
Yeah. And I wanted to tell you, so I sit with the Lord every morning and just ask him, what's on your heart? What are you doing in the world today? He talks about all kind of crazy stuff, whatever he wants to talk about. And yesterday this was yesterday. So yesterday, he was talking about some other stuff, and then he gets into this is the justice phase. I heard that yesterday morning.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
the first thing I saw when I opened Truth Social is this. And I was like, okay, now we're on to something. I think this is going somewhere. So I'm really excited about that. I was wondering if you had any similar inklings.
Well, what I've been looking at is all of the different government agencies that have been posting Q memes on X.
Yeah.
We recently got a post of Patriots Are in Control.
Yeah, I have that one
from
too.
the Undersecretary, there you go, Department of War, CTO, Chief Technology Officer. This is the Undersecretary of Defense for Technology and Engineering. And I actually listened to an interview with this guy. He's a brilliant man. And he was explaining how, this just blew my mind. He was explaining how they're currently using AI in the theater of warfare to aggregate information on the battlefield from all of the intelligence gathering that they do, both human intelligence, electronic intelligence, and surveillance. They're aggregating all this data that would normally take 20,000 people.
Oh my gosh.
Aggregate the data and make the decisions. He said, we're doing it with 200 people now, and it's in real time. It doesn't take us 6 or 7 or 10 or 12 hours. It takes us minutes to get this done now. And they've been a lot of what's been going on with Iran and probably Ukraine. They have this advantage now of artificial intelligence that can gather and assess all this data and give them the best options for strike packages and decision making. So yeah, the fact that he's posting this locked in, Patriots are in control. Department of Labor was doing it. The White House has done it, right? And so these are all Q memes that government agencies are putting out there.
And this is one more. You might have seen this one.
Is it the Q plus thing on there?
It's game over deep state. Deep state, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think we are entering the justice phase. We have Joe DeGeneva, former U.S. attorney, who is also a special prosecutor. And Joe DeGeneva knows as much about the Spygate conspiracy as anybody, with the possible exception of Kash Patel. And Kash is at FBI. So we've got Joe DeGeneva and Kash Patel, the two preeminent brains on Spygate, working on this case. And Joe DeGeneva was appointed by Todd Blanche to take over the prosecutions in Florida, where the grand jury is hearing evidence against Comey, Clapper, Brennan, Obama, Valerie Jarrett, Susan Rice, Ben Rhodes, all these knuckleheads who got involved in trying to overthrow the government.
And that was another meme recently. I didn't pull that one, but the Shady Bunch, where they're all in orange jumpsuits.
Yeah. It's taken a long time, and you're frustrated. I get it. We all wish this would have been over like 5 years ago, but they stole an election. Sorry. And we had to put up with President Autopen for 4 years, which interrupted the work. And we had to clean out DOJ, clean out CIA, FBI, the National Security Council, the White House, all these deep staters. They had to get rid of them and bring in patriots in the second Trump administration who could actually move the ball down the field, score some points. And I'm very confident in what Joe DeGeneva and Quinones. He's the U.S. attorney down in Florida. I'm very confident in what they're doing. I think we're going to see indictments relatively soon related
Do you
to
think?
Spygate.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
Do you
go ahead.
think we're going to have a traditional midterm election, or does that apple cart get
Ooh,
upended?
boy. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything changing with the midterm. I don't see anything happening there. God hasn't given me any revelation on that.
Okay.
October surprise, sure, there's always an October surprise, but it's a midterm. It's not a presidential
Yeah.
election. I think that the Democrats have pretty well screwed themselves over. They just keep moving their platform further and further to the left, more and more away from traditional liberalism into just full-on communism. Zoran Mamdani the other day basically came out and said the quiet part out loud, that they're going to take away ownership of buildings in New York City from private individuals and give those to the community. Straight on socialism, where the government seizes land ownership and gives it to NGOs and land trusts and all these other entities to manage. Take it away,
Yeah.
basically taking it away from the owners. It's just, people are not down with this stuff. I know it seems like the Democrats may be gaining some traction on this. They're not. Look at what happened in the elections yesterday.
Yeah. In the last couple weeks.
You know, the Wolfman down in Texas, Al Green, he's out.
Yeah.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz lost her district to redistricting. A lot of these Democrat districts that were racially gerrymandered, they're going away. John Cornyn, 24-year career in the Senate as one of the biggest rhinos, gone. Ken Paxton is coming in to replace
Bill
him.
Cassidy.
I don't think that Tallarico has much of a chance against Ken Paxton in the general election in November. I think we're just going to continue to rack up wins, flip some seats, flip some governor. Here in Arizona, I think Katie Hobbs is going to get ousted by Andy Biggs. Andy Biggs is as MAGA as anyone. And if we get a governor, an attorney general, and a secretary of state in Arizona, we have a Republican legislature, we can clean up our elections once and for all. We can get rid of the fraud. We've got J.D. Vance and his team working on the exposure of fraud and clawing back the billions and probably trillions of dollars that have been wasted on fraud.
Yeah.
Stephen Miller said the other day, he believes we could balance the budget if we got rid of all the fraud.
I think just in he said the welfare fraud, I think. So
Yeah,
that's not even counting other fraud that we have.
He said if taxpayer money only goes to people who are legitimate recipients, we could balance the budget. In other words, if we get rid of all the fraud, we can balance the budget. He believes, and it's probably right.
Yeah.
There's fraud in foreign aid too. That was what first came out with USAID and all these agencies and entities and NGOs that were funneling all this taxpayer money. All of that was fraud too. Like most of what the government spends is fraudulent. And look at the Defense Department contractors. We pay way more money than we should be paying for, missiles and rockets and tanks and all these other things. There's a lot of waste and fraud, graft and abuse in government programs. I'm glad that the Trump administration is finally addressing it. I'm very optimistic. I think people are down with that. I think the elections will go really well. If we don't have a terrorist attack or some other crazy thing happen, I think the elections will go well.
Now, what did you see yesterday? I'm sure you did. The video of RFK Jr. catching 2 snakes by hand. What do you make of that?
Racers? Yeah. What about it?
What do you make of it? Do you think it was just a little stunt, or
he
you
caught
think
some
it's
snakes? Yeah, I don't make anything of it. I don't think there's anything symbolic. I mean, I saw one of my buddies, Enoch, posted the Aesculapius, the the cross serpents, this medicine thing. I don't think there's a symbolism there that was intentional.
Okay.
I did see an interesting. I didn't listen to the video because the video is just creeped me out the way they did this. But the New York Post put out a YouTube video, and the headline of the YouTube video is RFK Jr. says that the government or someone is spraying poisons in the air, chemtrails basically, and he's going to get rid of it. And that's the line is RFK is going to basically, he's on a war to get rid of chemtrails. Now, like I said, it was like a 7-minute video. It's on YouTube. If you go to New York Post to their YouTube channel or their X account, you can find the link to it. Listen to it. I listened to like 30 seconds of it, and the voice of the person who was narrating was so creepy and so clickbaity. I was like, oh gosh, this is just terrible. I didn't even listen to the whole video. but it does sound like RFK might be on the warpath against chemtrails, for those of you who are interested.
I certainly hope so. We've tried to ban them in Louisiana. I think we're taking our second bite of the apple for that right now, and they haven't stopped at all.
Yeah, well, maybe we have somebody in our corner now who's going to go after that.
I hope so. Okay, so what's going on right now, Dave? They were supposed to be the White House, Trump and the cabinet were supposed to be at Camp David. Then, there's alleged potential bad weather. So they decided to stay home, stay in Washington and do it there. What do you think is going to happen?
All right. So we're talking about Iran, I think. I think the cabinet meeting is primarily about Iran. It was initially going to be at Camp David. And Trump doesn't go to Camp David unless there's something big brewing. The only time that Trump had a cabinet meeting at Camp David in his second administration was right before Operation Midnight Hammer. He took the entire cabinet there. They had their meeting, and then boom, we sent a bunch of B-2s over to Iran and got rid of some nuclear dust, which is now buried. And we have to figure out how to get rid of that stuff. So the fact that they scheduled it for Camp David hinted to a lot of people that there's a military operation coming up in Iran. And then they moved it to the White House. I don't know if it's going to be televised. I don't know what's going on. We're on the air. If it's being televised, great. If it's not being televised, that's a big tell. If it's not being aired, then they're talking secret squirrel stuff. Trump has been posting a lot of hot again, cold again, conflicting messages about Iran. Hey, we're working on this peace agreement. It's getting very close. We have all these Middle East countries that have bought into it. Netanyahu is on board. Everybody's on board. Maybe we'll even get Iran to sign on to the Abraham Accords, right? Everything's all great. Everything's groovy. Life is good. And then he posts a meme with a 500-pound bomb saying, hey, thank you for your attention to this matter. He posts a meme where Iranian warships are getting blown up in the Persian Gulf. Okay, which
Scavino posted a video of a bomber as well, the stealth
B2s.
Bomber.
Scavino is dropping B2 bombers, memes and stuff. So for those of us who have been following President Trump for the last 10 years, we know that this is classic Trump disinformation campaign. He is running a psyop. He doesn't want his opponent to know what he's actually planning on doing. So he's going to talk war, and he's going to make threats, and he's going to talk peace, the olive branch. Hey, everything's great. These people are very reasonable. And then, boom, he's back to threatening to nuke them into the Stone Age. That is classic Trump. He doesn't want his opponent to know what he's really thinking. When you're trying to negotiate a deal, at least Trump when he's trying to negotiate a deal, he doesn't want the other party to know what his ultimate goal is. He wants them to
And he
be
has so many
uncertain and
enemies.
confused. Go ahead.
Sorry, he has so many enemies as well. So it's not just the enemy of Iran. He doesn't want them to know what he's
Yeah.
doing. He doesn't
He
want
doesn't
the
want
deep
members of
state. He
Congress to know
doesn't
what he's
want
doing.
exactly.
He doesn't want Lindsey Graham to know what he's doing.
Yeah.
He damn sure doesn't want Chuck Schumer to know what he's doing. He has
Right.
a lot of people that he wants to keep off balance. That is just how Trump works. Even his allies, he doesn't want them to necessarily know what he's doing. So Ted Cruz is going to have to go on social media and start talking crap about Trump because Trump isn't doing the right thing. General Flynn is going to have to go on X and say, oh, Trump doesn't realize he's dealing with a bunch of people who can't be trusted. Well, actually, he does know that. But Trump is putting out all this information. It's chaos. It's information warfare. Trump is we're in the information war, and Trump is putting out conflicting messages because he doesn't want anyone, allies or opponents, to know what he's actually working toward. Marco Rubio has been pretty tight-lipped. One of the things about Marco is Marco does not put out disinformation. He does not make false statements. He does not make empty threats. So if you want to know the best barometer of what Trump is thinking with foreign policy, listen to Marco. Follow him when he's speaking. Get the video, listen to what he's saying. Marco is the best person to convey what the Trump administration is actually thinking on any issue, whether it's Cuba, Venezuela, Iran, China. Marco is your best barometer of what is actually going on in the mind of the White House. Trump, if you follow Trump, people like Iranian people are losing their minds because they can't figure out what Trump is. Like, look, just don't pay attention to Trump. Listen to Marco. He'll tell you what's going on. But I think that I suspect we're going to end up with another campaign.
You do.
To take out the IRGC. The IRGC is, to whatever capacity they're able to do it, they're rebuilding their missile launchers. They're rebuilding their missile capacity. They're rebuilding their drone capacity. They're not going to stop. That has to be dealt with. I think eventually we're going to end up going back in there.
Okay.
Because even if Ghalibaf and Mushtaba and whoever the leaders are, even if they sign a peace agreement, they're not going to keep it. They have no intention of keeping it. It's written in the Islamic Republic's constitution that they have to eliminate the state of Israel. It's in their constitution that they are required to eliminate the state of Israel. They're not going to let go of this. So I think eventually they're going to get some bombs dropped on their heads again. And it's just going to keep going.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I just have this sense that maybe it'll get wrapped up a lot sooner, but time will tell.
Yeah, I'm praying for a peace agreement.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Every day we should pray for that. I don't think the mullahs can be trusted.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay, speaking of misdirection and keeping people off balance, do you have any insight or thoughts, opinions about what's going on with Trump in the ballroom? What is the ballroom really about? He loves to talk about it. He loves to have videos posted of himself, like surveying the site. Of course, people have a lot of thoughts about what that might mean, but what do you think it means?
All right. Trump is a builder, right?
Yeah.
Trump built much of the Manhattan skyline. It is one of his proudest accomplishments. He is a builder. He loves good buildings. He loves good architecture. He's very proud of the things he builds. He's building this triumphal arch in DC. He wants to restore DC to its former beauty and glory. They're putting up statues and things. Trump is a builder. So, in his first administration, actually when he was campaigning in 2016, he was taking a lot of shots at the United States Department of Transportation and our airports, because our airports are run down. They are uncomfortable. They're kind of they're just substandard.
Yeah.
Compared to places like if you go to Dubai
Mm-hmm.
or if you go to other international cities, destinations, the airports are beautiful, well maintained, clean, modern. And you go into Reagan Airport or airport in Philly, and it's crappy. Place
Yeah,
that
it's horrible.
it's dark. It's designed in the 1950s, and so
And super
Trump,
cramped.
yeah. So Trump is has a lot of personal stake in those things that represent the United States. When foreign dignitaries come to the United States and they see the White House was built a long time ago. It's not nearly as big as most people think it is. It's not, it is certainly isn't the freaking Taj Mahal. And so, by comparison, if you go to visit one of the emirs, in the Emirates or in Saudi Arabia, go to visit any of the dignitaries in the Middle East, they have these massive, opulent palaces with huge ceilings and the finest stone and the finest gold, and just billions of dollars spent on these buildings where the world leaders live. And Trump, as a president, lives inside a building that was built 150 years ago.
Yeah.
Almost 200 years ago. It's an old building, and it's not modern. And so Trump wants to build something that keeps the White House on par with other capitals of state. He doesn't feel like that little tiny White House complex is speaks and represents the United States on the world stage. So he wants to build this ballroom that is a state-of-the-art, high-tech, beautiful, opulent place where they can hold state functions, state dinners, and yeah, there's this issue of security, the bulletproof glass, and all the other stuff. That's a thing. But for Trump as a builder, he wants the White House to represent America well when compared to other capitals of other countries, and it doesn't right now, and that bugs him. So he's doing this. He's building this, ballroom. And yes, the Presidential Emergency Operations Center is going to be expanded. So underneath the White House, there's a bunker. It was a bunker that was built around World War II times, and it's basically was a nuclear shelter where the White House staff would go into the shelter if there was a missile launch from the Soviet Union, back during the Cold War. And that has served as a President's Emergency Operations Center, PEOC, since the Cold War and World War II. Well, that needs to be upgraded. So they're apparently they're building this massive military industrial complex, not industrial, military intelligence and shelter complex below the ballroom. Like, I heard that like 7 floors below the ground level that there's going to be.
Whoa, 7! I didn't even know there was that much depth of earth.
There's going to be a medical center down there.
Wow.
Where they can provide medical treatment in an emergency. It'll have state-of-the-art everything below the ballroom. So that's my understanding of what the ballroom's all about.
All right, cool. A couple of other questions. I mean, this has come up kind of quickly, but Tulsi just put in her resignation, effective June 30th. Fine, I'm super bummed about that. It came out this morning.
I think she was doing a good job.
Yeah.
She was definitely an advocate for transparency and declassification. Finally, we had somebody at DNI who was actually declassifying and making public a lot of these records. I I've been, historically, I haven't trusted Tulsi Gabbard, but since she came in as DNI, I've I've learned to trust her more, and I'm kind of sad that she's going, but it is what
Yeah,
it is.
me too.
And she is going to be at the cabinet meeting today.
Yeah. I'm interested in your take.
What's your?
So
You're interested
her
in my take on her?
husband was
You're interested in my take on her leaving?
well, a little, yes, because it came out that yesterday or this morning, I saw that it was being reported that Pam Bondi has been suffering from thyroid cancer.
Yep.
Of course, Tulsi's leaving because of her husband's very rare bone cancer. Susie Wiles has had breast cancer. Trump's ex-wife, Vanessa, has had breast cancer. This has all come out in the last couple of probably 2 or 3 months. Do you have a sense about whether, do you feel that is some kind of nefarious activity in the physical, or just that's part of the spiritual war that we're in?
Yeah. I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
I know.
And I've been telling people this from the beginning. When I started doing the Q posts, I always told people, look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Yes, I will take coincidences and I will analyze them. Say, well, it's a coincidence that, this person was at this particular time and they had access to this information and they happened to be working and their wife was working on this thing. And there's something going on there. That's not just a coincidence. I will look at those coincidences and analyze them. But absent a clear, coherent picture that points to something nefarious, I'm not going to jump to the conclusion that someone is doing something to give all these people cancer all of a sudden. It's not Tulsi Gabbard, it's her husband. Tulsi doesn't have cancer. And cancer is the second leading cause of death in America. 550,000 people a year die of cancer. It's quite common, actually. So to me, it's not unexpected. I can't swing a dead cat without hitting somebody that I know who has cancer, who's dealing with it. It's quite common. So I don't think there's anything nefarious going on. It'll be interesting to see who President Trump nominates to replace Tulsi as DNI. I have no idea who that would be.
Do you have any preferences?
Someone's going to have to get through Senate confirmation, unless he just decides he's going to appoint someone as acting.
Like Marco Rubio?
Like Marco Rubio. Well, Marco does wear a lot of hats.
He does, and wigs when it comes to the meme world.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah. Well, he's a good man. But it's obviously Trump is going to want someone in there in DNI who has that same desire for transparency and truth and can push back against the deep staters who are still in the CIA, who still don't want these documents to be released. They're going to have to go to war against the intelligence agencies. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. All right. Well, any final thoughts or anything you want to share that we didn't touch on?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered more than I actually expected to share. I wasn't expecting to talk about mesh radio, but here we are. So,
here we are. Well, good. And remind people, Dave, where to find you. I'm going to show here you go.
Okay. You can find my articles, videos, podcasts, books, classes. Yes, I have classes, video-based classes on prayingmedic.com. Our ministry is based on the website prayingmedic.org. You can support us financially if our messages bless you. There's a donate page on prayingmedic.org. It goes to our Give, Send, Go page. That's primarily where we receive donations for the ministry. I am on X at Praying Medic. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Telegram. I'm very active on Telegram. Every day I'm there posting news and testimonies of healing and stuff.
Awesome. And when's your next book coming out? Do you know? I know you had that new one come out. The Spiritual Warfare just came out.
The book on self-publishing is almost ready. It'll be out by next week, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Cool.
Denise is working on the cover. It is a book for people. If you have a book in you and you don't know how to get this book into print, how do you publish a book? Do it yourself. You do not need a publisher. Actually, the title of the book is Published Without Permission.
Oh, I like that.
You don't need an agent, a literary agent. You don't need a publisher. You can do it yourself. It's a relatively simple process. This book that's coming out walks you through step by step the process of not just publishing a single book that you have inside of you, but if you're a writer, there's a lot of coaching in this book, how to prime the pump, get the creative juices flowing, how to be a creative writer, how to be successful, how to take articles and things you've already written, refine that into a book. It's a very broad discussion on writing and publishing. There's legal information in there. There's information on how to build a social media platform, to build a following, to make a living as a writer. So
Awesome.
That'll be coming out in the next week, probably.
Perfect. Well, I'm looking forward to that one. And just a reminder to everyone watching, we will be back here tomorrow on the State of Freedom. It's our last episode of the session at 8 a.m. Praise God. We'll be starting back next week at our usual time slot right here at 10 a.m. So that is a huge, huge victory for us to be closing out the Louisiana legislative session. And join the Warrior Circle. If you haven't, you can do that at join.freedomstate.us. And if you are a member of Warrior Circle, you can call in on Warrior Wednesdays. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear all of your thoughts and even angry rants about what's happening in the state of Louisiana and beyond. So we welcome you to do that. Thank you, Dave, for joining me again.
Thank you, Danielle.
I'll touch base with you about what 6 weeks from now looks like roughly. And we'll be back here then. Just really appreciate the conversation and your forbearance on all of my curious questions.
Thank you.
Awesome. Have a great one.
Rouge. It's Baton Rouge's newest claw machine arcade. Jenin absolutely loves it. Packed with Pokemon gear and fun for all ages. You got to go to PokeClaw. I love it. Jenin wants to go there every Saturday. It's just a wonderful place to go for the family, for the kids. PokeClaw. Red Zeppelin is the best kept secret, but because of us, it's really not a secret anymore. Anybody who has not been to Red Zeppelin on Perkins Road in Baton Rouge, you're truly missing out. The best environment, the best service, and the best pizza in the state of Louisiana. Go to Red Zeppelin today. Tell them the State of Freedom sent you.
Thanks for joining me today on For the Love of Freedom. It is an honor and a true privilege to get to spend some time with you. If you're looking for other episodes of this show, you can find them on all of the State of Freedom platforms. And a reminder that this show is live on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central. God bless.